Hey everybody, I'm Ben Blackman with One Focus Marketing. Thank you so much for joining me on this masterclass about Facebook ad targeting for beginners. Really, actually, this is not live right now. Had the masterclass yesterday, and unfortunately, I didn't record it correctly, or it messed up, or something, whatever. So I'm re-recording it right now. That's probably a good thing for you because it'll probably be a lot shorter than yesterday. One thing to note is you don't have to look at my face the whole time. I know that's a good thing, but you will have to listen to my voice. So if you don't like a southern accent, you might be in trouble. So let me get my face out of the way so we can get started. All right, so here's what we're going to cover today. We're going to cover the 5 steps that I use whenever I'm designing an ad campaign and going to start targeting people for my clients. And the first thing is I usually get my clients to fill out the 19 questions. And so if you didn't receive that already, it should be in the email that you're getting. If not, please contact me and I'll send it to you. It's 19 questions to identify, understand, and reach, customers that convert. And so understanding your ideal customer is crucial before you even start thinking about targeting. Because if you don't know who you're targeting, how are you going to target them to begin with, right? I'm also going to go through how to use audience insights, which is an extremely powerful tool that Facebook has to analyze your audience and understand them better. I'm going to talk to you about page research and actually group research, really. So analyzing a couple of pages and looking at what other places your people, your ideal customers are visiting and liking and sharing and that kind of thing. As well as, Facebook groups are a very important part of targeting because, wherever, there's a market, there's usually a Facebook group. So yesterday on the masterclass I was talking about, and I took this off the top of my head, I was talking about fishing lures. And I know nothing about fishing, right? Nothing. But my point to that is that if I was selling fishing lures, I would be in the fishing lures groups or, fishing groups in general and reading what people are saying about it. What are people's issues? What are their problems? What are their challenges? What's keeping them up at night? What are they looking for? What do they want? All those kinds of things. And so if you're not involved in groups that, have to do with, if you're not involved with groups that have to do with what your ideal audience is interested in, please go do that today. So the other thing is we're going to talk a little bit about Google and also about surveys. Surveys are a great thing as long as you can get to your ideal people and get valid information from them. So you have to take those and make sure that it makes sense. One thing to remember is when you're targeting and thinking about your ideal audience is you are not your customer. No matter how much you might think that you are, you're not. They're going to tell you what they want, and it may go completely against what you think that they want. So you have to be cautious of that. People fall into that trap all the time where they're constantly trying to say, well, this is what I would do. Well, that's great, but it may not necessarily be what your targeting audience will do. So you have to pay attention, and they're going to vote. Ultimately, they're going to vote with their wallet, right? If they're not giving you any money for whatever it is that you're selling, then whatever you're selling may not be the right thing, or you may be hitting the complete wrong group. So bear that in mind and keep that in mind as we go through some of this stuff. So real quick, I want to talk to you about the types of targeting that there are, and one of them is just your warm list. Now, you might say, well, Ben, that's retargeting, and maybe retargeting is, maybe you think you've heard that word and it's kind of like out there. You're like, hey, this is supposed to be basic stuff, not, retargeting stuff. But I just wanted to kind of mention to you because retargeting is targeting. You're just targeting people who have already expressed an interest in what you have. Okay, so for example, somebody who's on your email list, well, they already expressed an interest in whatever you have, like they bought something from you, they opted in for something, they got on your email list somehow. So when they express that interest, now maybe you want to send an ad to them. You want to target them for an ad. That's also known as retargeting. Okay, so it's not any more complicated than that. But just to kind of expand on it a little bit, that could be website visitors as well. So people who visited your website, maybe they visited a specific blog post, Maybe they visited anywhere on the website. Maybe they visited a page where they looked at a specific product that you have. I mean, whatever it is, you can actually send an ad to those people. You can target those people with an ad. But in order to do that for your website, you have to have the Facebook Pixel installed. So if you already have it installed, congratulations, that's awesome, because having that installed is crucial, and you really got to have that in order to do any of this targeting I'm talking about, or retargeting as it were. So if you don't have it installed, please do some research. Jump on YouTube. There's tons of videos out there on how to install Facebook Pixel for whatever platform you're on. I don't know that there are any out there now that you can't install it on, but please install it. If it's just too confusing for you, or you just feel like it's just out there, there's instructions in Facebook where you can actually send the Pixel, email it to somebody to have them install it for you. So send it to your 15-year-old neighbor across the street. Let him install it for you, because I'm sure he can do it in about 2 seconds. Because that's what I did. But just get it installed, because it starts to gather information for you. It's gathering information that's going to help you in the future, even if you don't use it right away. You also you can target landing page visitors. So if you use a landing page service like ClickFunnels, which that's what I use, you can target them. You can target fans if they're your target audience. I mean, you don't want to target your fans if they're not really people who would be buying what you're selling. So that happens sometimes where people get a lot of fans, but they're really not, that's not who you need to be targeting at all. But fans of your page. And you can also, and people are surprised by this, you can target your LinkedIn contacts. And so this isn't always helpful for a lot of people, because they're, the people that you're connected with on LinkedIn, again, they would have to be, your ideal audience. But this is just something to think about. And I'll talk about this in a little bit more in just a second. But what you do is you can actually download the contacts and upload them into Facebook, and then Facebook will create an audience based on them. But if you have enough of them, and you think that enough of them are, might be people who would buy what you sell, you can actually create a lookalike audience similar to those contacts. So actually expand that. And you can do that actually with any of those things. Your email list, your website visitors, you can create those, what we call lookalikes, which I talk about on the next thing right down here. Actually, I guess I'm just going to talk about it now. But you create these lookalikes, which are people who are similar to the people that have already, like your email list, or similar to your website. But the thing about the LinkedIn contacts, I was talking to somebody a couple days ago, and they didn't realize that you could do that. And when I told them, it opened up a whole new world for them. Because they're like, yeah, my LinkedIn contacts, those are my clients. Those are my type clients. And it really just broadened their horizons on that. So that was kind of cool. The next set is your warm-ish type audience. So these people are people who have engaged with you in some form or another. Meaning, people watched a video you had, they watched a Facebook Live, obviously a video, or they watched or they engaged with a post that you have, something like that. Most of those people you can retarget. Not all of them, but most of them. And so you can create an audience based on those people and send ads to them. You can target them. And then the last set of targeting really is your cold audience. And so mostly this is just interests. I mean, you can target by just demographics like, age and sex and location and that kind of thing. But part of the best thing about Facebook is you can narrow it down. And when you narrow it down, now you're going to be getting more just in front of the people who might be interested. So what I mean by that is that I was looking at a prospective client, I was looking at their account, and their targeting audience size was like, I don't know, 120 million, 130 million people. I mean, and I looked at it and I was thinking, out of those 120 million, how many people would actually be people who are interested in what you're offering? I mean, seriously, how many people could it be? And I mentioned that to him, and I guess that put it in perspective a little bit, but the odds are it's not that many. So if you have a 120 million target audience, what's going to happen is you're never going to get in front of the people who might actually be interested in. It's going to take you either a really long time and a lot of money, or you're never going to get in front of them at all. So that's why you don't want to target these huge people. And some people might say, well, what I have appeals to everybody. Well, maybe it does, but then you're competing with all those other things, because that's probably a commodity, and so then you're competing with all those other people who, the Walmarts and the Targets or whatever, who appeal to those same people. So it's usually 9 times out of 10 you're better off narrowing it down, okay, and really defining a niche. So anyway, let's scroll on down here and talk about the 19 questions. So if you haven't filled this out, you want to do this here. Let me kind of show it to you. And again, I'll send it to you if you don't have it already. And so these are just 19 questions to identify, and I'm just going to kind of go through some of them real quick. So obviously it's basic things like where do they live, what generation are they in. The reason I put that down, or what age group or what generation are they in, is because you're going to speak differently to somebody who's in Generation X than you are, say, a millennial, right? They're going to speak 2 different languages. Now, some of it may cross over a little bit, but if you can narrow it down, you can actually talk to them. And so to kind of give you an idea, one of these ads that I ran a long time ago, and you may not know this reference, that's okay if you don't. There was a TV show, and they actually remade some of the TV show not too long ago, but it's pretty popular. It was an evening soap opera type show called Dallas. And when I was a kid, there's a guy on the show, his name was JR, he got shot. So there was this, season-ending cliffhanger about him getting shot. Now, I didn't watch the show. I was a kid. I didn't care about that. But, man, it was everywhere. Who shot JR? People talking about it. I heard my friends' parents talking about it, and my sister, and just all kinds of people, talking about who shot JR. And I'm thinking, I don't really care. I just don't want to hear about it anymore. But I took that information for one of my ads, and I actually started my ad by saying, who shot JR? So what that did is that identified people who would recognize that time period, right? Because only people who were in that time period would that resonate with. It's not going to resonate with people who have no idea what that is. So that's kind of my point. You can actually take that information and narrow it down so that your ad is designed for the people that you're trying to get. Are you targeting men and women? Here's something really good, is magazines. So people who tend to actually buy magazines tend to have more of an interest than somebody who just might read a blog post, okay, or might be on a specific blog, because the magazine they're buying, they're paying money for that, so they tend to actually read it, or know what it is, or know the references and those kinds of things. So a lot of times you can target magazines for people who might be your target audience. So it's good to identify those. YouTube channels, of course, or any kind of videos that they tend to watch. Again, the Facebook groups, very crucial thing. Understand where they are, what they're doing, what they're talking about. Be a part of their groups. Be in there. And interact with them. Ask them questions. You don't have to sell them right there. Just ask them. Are they already purchasing what you have to offer? Well, if they're not purchasing what you have to offer, are you trying to be the trendsetter? Are you trying to be the first person to break through in this market? Because that's a very tough thing to do. I'm not trying to discourage you. I'm just saying, to be realistic, most of the time you don't want to be the first person. You want somebody else to have made all the mistakes first, and then you come in. Now, that being said, if you're able to break through, that's certainly a great place to be and a great position to be in. Are they a starving crowd? And a lot of people don't know how to answer that. And what I mean is, are they like golfers? Golfers are a starving crowd, man. They'll buy anything to improve their stroke, by one. They'll just knock that. If they can knock one stroke off their game, they're on it. So that's a starving crowd. Are they people who are you trying to appeal to the masses though? So, like, for example, everybody wants to lose weight. I say everybody. Most people want to lose weight. So is that a starving crowd, literally? No. But is it a starving crowd in a marketing sense? Well, sort of. It is in the fact that these tend to be buyers. But if you don't have a way to stand out from everybody else who is selling to the same crowd, then that's going to be a difficult thing to break through on. So what you want to do is Figure out what keeps them up at night. You know, is there something specific that keeps them from being able to function normally, and what do they want to do about it? So I think I was talking about fishing lures and Bass Pro Shops and these various places. And like I said, I do not know anything about fishing at all, but I was thinking about people who are selling fishing lures. Well, people who are into fishing, they're a starving crowd, man. They love fishing. They're into it. They think it's cool, and that's great. I'm glad. And what keeps them up at night is, man, they just wish they could catch that massive bass or whatever it is that they're fishing for, And if they had the perfect lure, man, they're just gonna kill it. They're gonna be just really enjoying their fishing expedition or whatever it is that they're doing. And I hope that sort of makes sense there. What's their primary pain point that your product or service could solve? You have to understand that. Because you're going to use that pain point in your ad. Obviously, you want to put down your top 5 direct competitors and find out what what problem they're solving. If you don't know what problem they're solving, or you're having a tough time figuring it out, then it's going to make it a little bit tougher for you to address your pain point. So you really need to study what they're doing, and also list the top 5 people that your primary audience would follow, even if it's not in the same topic. So just to kind of give you an example, back to the bass fishing people. So and I don't have any data to back this up, I'm just throwing this out there. So maybe they tend to follow something that's really out there. Maybe they tend to follow Tony Robbins, right? Maybe that's who they follow. Who would know that, right? Well, that's what you're trying to find out. So while everybody else is marketing to, the interest of Bass Pro Shops, you're marketing to use the interest of Tony Robbins, and you're getting to a whole segment that's not seeing the same type of ads all the time that they are if they're interested in Bass Pro Shop. So I hope that sort of makes sense there. What 3 questions does your ideal customer repeatedly ask themselves? Why do they want to do business with you? Why would they? Why would they do business with you and not do it with somebody down the street or somebody they already know? And what are they going to do if they don't buy it from you? And then the last thing is, how do they feel once they purchase from you? What kind of experience do they have? So those 19 questions are pretty important. So what I do is I take those questions, some of them, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get into audience insights in Facebook. And if you don't know how to get there, you come into the ads manager. And this is my test account here. So you come into the ads manager and you click on this right here, and may look a little different in yours. That's okay. Just look for it. If it's not right here, click on all tools, and you'll probably see it over here. It's called Audience Insights. You click on that, and this window right here will pop up, and it'll ask you, are you wanting to target everybody on Facebook? And the answer to that is, initially, yes, we're going to do that for this purpose. So we're going to do everybody on Facebook. We're going to define our country right here. I'm going to X out of that. I wouldn't necessarily, for the moment, when you're first doing this, just leave like the age and gender stuff as the defaults. But what I am going to put is the interest. And so as I was talking about that, I was talking about fishing lures, right? So I might put in here people who are interested in Bass Pro Shops, right? Because they sell fishing lures, I think. And so once I input that, all these numbers over here begin to change. And it's telling me how many people are active who are interested in Bass Pro Shops. That's a lot of people, 2.5 to 3 million. But look, I found this interesting when I first pulled this up, is that, it's 2/3 men, 1/3 women. I think I was expecting that to be like 90% men and 10% women. I thought that was very interesting. It doesn't mean that 33% of women are all interested in fishing lures necessarily, but they are interested in Bass Pro Shops. That's what they're trying to tell you. And the other thing I found interesting is that the age range. So the age range here is between 25 to 34 is the biggest demographic there. That's kind of interesting to me. And it's spread out pretty evenly between men and women. It's like not a lot of variation there. But if I was targeting them, I would stick with the 25 to 44 range, because that's going to get the bulk of the people. That's going to get, 54, 55, 56% of the people there. And so I'm going to just kind of scroll on down so you can kind of start to see that even that little bit of information we got right there is pretty powerful. So I scroll down. There's not much here. It talks about lifestyle and stuff. You're welcome to read up on that. I don't use that information all that much. I do kind of look at things like relationship status. Are they married? Are they college grads? Are they not? Because I may narrow it down even further than that. Something that is kind of interesting, though, is that if I sort this part right here, is that most of them are production type jobs. So I could actually target production type, people who do production work, or people who do administrative or sales, and hit those target markets pretty well. And so that's all I really wanted to show you on this. Now, if I go back up here, I can click right here and see what pages they like. So this is really going to be great information for you. So not only do they like Bass Pro Shops, but they like Wild World Adventures. And I had no idea what this was yesterday, so I clicked on it, and that's what I'm going to do right here, open it up in a new tab. And Wild World Adventures they're in Nashville, which is a couple hours from me, and they got 95,000 people who like it, almost 95,000 who follow it. So good chance we can target people who like this page. It's products, content, and community for outdoor enthusiasts. So if they have a group or something, I'm going to be looking for that and try and find that and join it, and go to their website and visit it and take a look what they have, because these are going to be people who are into what we're looking for. And then I'm going to come back to audience insights, and I might go through each of these. All right, and see which one. One that I looked at yesterday was this gentleman named Kevin Van Dam, and I guess it's just because I think of Jean-Claude Van Damme when I see that name, right? Right. I mean, but look at this: 225,000 people like him. I mean, that's pretty impressive, really. And so I wrote that down yesterday. I was like, hey, that's a good one to target, right? That's going to be a good market there. And I'm going to take his name and research him in just a second. But I would go through these. Now, some of these may not really, be people that you want to target, or be things that you want to try to target. And you can't target all of them anyway. Some of them they're just giving you information about it. It's not something that's actually targetable. So you need to go through and try to select quite a few. Then I'm going to scroll on down and see what pages they like. So I'm going to sort this. So people who like Bass Pro Shops are 18.6 times more likely to like Wild World Adventures than the average Facebook user. And so that's pretty decent information to have as well, because you're getting an idea of, hey, these probably are the better ones because they're a lot more likely to like this page as well. And so I take that information and I just kind of make sure I'm making notes on it. If I want to look at location, now I've only targeted the United States, so it should just show me the U.S. stuff, and it does. But if you're doing various countries, you can sort by country and see which ones are coming from where. Not a shock. I mean, I bet if I put in Canada, that most of them will be the U.S. Yeah, so 97. How does that add up? 97% in the U.S. and 4% in Canada. That seems like more than 100% to me, but hey, that's maybe it's that new math. I don't know. Anyway, so now I'm going to take Canada back out of there just for a minute, and let's see what activities we have. And so this tells me that this is they have 45 ads clicked on average, so that's pretty good. I mean, that's a lot better than people on Facebook in an average group. So that means that they're responsive. This is giving you some good information. You can look at what kind of devices they use and all that stuff if you want. Then the household is another. Now remember, just so you know, it depends on the country. Okay, so in some countries you can't see all this information, right? Like if I was just looking at Bass Pro Shops for people who are in Canada, maybe I don't see all this right here. But for U.S. people, we can tell, the median income. So you can tell obviously it's 50,000 to, we would say maybe 100,000, somewhere in that neighborhood. But isn't it interesting that the 150 to 250,000 range is greater than the 125 to 150? That's just an interesting little tidbit. The homeowners, 76% of these people are 76% of these people are homeowners. It talks about household size. So do they have kids, basically? And house values. And so sorry about that. And so you've got people here that their spending methods and so forth. So all right, so hopefully you can. By the way, the last one here is purchase, so it talks just about how their spending habits are and so forth, which is all good information. Look here, 40% are spending spend stuff on sports and outdoor stuff. That's what we're looking for. If this had said but these people like this page, but they don't, only 5% of them actually buy anything, well, that may not be a great group to target. Hope that makes sense to you. So one thing, let me show you what would happen. Let's just target. Let's look at Kevin Van Dam. Let's see what his interests are like, and if we can target him. So we click that, Kevin Van Dam, and here's the demographics. 93% men, not a shock. That's what I was expecting to see on the Bass Pro Shops. Okay, so I didn't see that. I'm seeing it on Kevin Van Dam. So does that make Kevin Van Dam a better person to target than the Bass Pro Shops? Probably. Okay, because if that's my target market, if I'm selling to men, then that's what I'd be looking for. Okay, I'd be looking for these kind of disparity. I'm probably not going to see page likes. Oh, I did see page likes. Good. So, Terry Scroggins, Shaw Griggs, whoever these people are, I would go through and look at each of those as well, because these are giving me great ideas of who to target. And then I would just go through all the other ones and look and see, they're 206 times more likely, to like Greg Hackney. Not sure who that is. Or Mike McClellan, professional bass angler. I'd like to be an angler. I wonder what it takes to be an angler. Can I call myself a marketing angler, you wonder? Sorry, I think about things like that. It's kind of Seinfeld-ish stuff. You got to get used to my sense of humor, or not, either way. So let's just look at it from, maybe you're tired of bass stuff, okay, because you don't know anything about fishing, and I don't either. So let's look at something else. Let's talk about, say you're a marketer, or you're selling. Ooh, I don't like that. Why is that on there? Say you're a marketer, and you're selling those kind of services, or you're targeting women consultants or something like that. So maybe my interest is Amy Porterfield. And if you don't know who my Amy Porterfield is, that's fine. So, we go through and we look at the same data for her that we would with anybody else. But what I would also do, if I was targeting a specific person, and Amy Porterfield or Kevin Van Dam or whoever, I would go into Facebook and I would search for Amy Porterfield. Okay. And when I do, I want to go to her personal page, right? And here on her personal page, what I'm looking for is I want to go to About, and I'm going to scroll down here and see what she likes and who she follows. So there's some of the things that she likes, and here's who she's following. And so why am I doing this? Well, so now I have found out that that Amy Porterfield follows Shama Hyder. Okay, so now what I know is that my target audience is probably pretty likely to target, or probably pretty likely to follow Shama Hyder. So that might be somebody I want to target, or take a look at what they have to offer. So obviously I click on their page, I go to her page, I see what she's into, the Marketing Zen group, I want to see what that's all about, I read about that. And there was good information that I caught back there. Let me go back. So it says right here, 30 under 30. So if you're targeting people, under 30, maybe that's not the best person to do, right? Maybe that's not the best person to target, because that's not your target audience if you're not targeting them, right? So I would scratch them off if that's not it. But if it is, then I would kind of follow it through. I'd go to her group or her business page, which there's not that many people, so you probably can't target that page, but you can probably target her as a person. So hopefully all that makes sense to you. And so that's kind of how you take, the 19 questions and you put it into Audience Insights and do some page research. You can actually take that information. So the next thing is Google, which you would just take the same thing in Google and say that you want to target Amy Porterfield, or let's see, women in consulting. That might be a good group. Maybe you could target that on Facebook. So you go back and you take that information and you put it into Audience Insights and see if you can come up with other possible targeting options. And so hopefully that makes sense to you. And then the same way I addressed surveys a little earlier. So now what I'd like to do is take the information that I've shown you there, and how do you input it into the Power Editor. So if you already know how to use Power Editor, you know how to do this, you can certainly drop off now. But if you're not, I'm going to show you real quick. So here what I'm going to do is I already have a Power Editor tab open, and that's not what we're looking for. We are looking for this. Whoops, not that. We were looking for this. Okay. Oh, and see, here's my fishing lure test that I did yesterday. All right. So when I go into my campaign and then I'm into my ad set, I created this yesterday, obviously. I'm going to edit this in my ad set. And so as I'm scrolling down through here, what I'm looking for are the interests. So let me kind of take this out real quick for you guys. All right. So, let's just say that I'm targeting everybody in the United States. My target audience is 25, I think we said, to maybe 44, something like that. Mostly men. And I want to target Kevin Van Dam. There he is. So I put him out there. And then these are some of the other people that were listed. So maybe I want to go ahead and add, I don't know if I can pronounce that dude's last name. You want to be careful on just clicking a bunch of these if you don't know who they are. I know that this guy happens to be similar to this guy, so I was okay with checking. But if you don't know, then don't select it. Bill Dance, I would want to put him here. So now I look over here and I've got an audience reach of 250,000 people. That's an okay size. It's not awesome. It's not terrible. You can actually be really successful with Facebook ads with broad audiences or smaller audiences. However, when I say broad, I wouldn't do more than 2.5 million at most. 2.5 million is the max. Just because you really want to make sure you're in front of the people you need to be in front of. So if you get much higher than that, it makes it a little tough. I've seen people be very successful with 10, 11, 12,000 people in an audience. Be cautious though. The reach here, what it says 250,000, these are actually the ones you can actually get to, the 230,000. 250,000 is the total. I don't know why they even put that there, but this is the people you could actually show your ad to potentially. And so with my ad budget, I'm gonna get between 1,200 and 3,200 people a day on Facebook using these ad interests. And so now the key to it is writing good copy and having a congruent image in the ad with what you're trying to offer. So when you're writing your ad copy, you're making sure that you're addressing the pain points that people have, and you can do it in a story, meaning maybe you tell your own story. I used to get up every Saturday at 5 a.m. and go out and take my son fishing, and I would never catch a fish. I always wanted to show him how easy it is and how much fun it is, but we never caught any fish. And so until finally one day I stumbled across this, amazing fishing lure, and I modified it a little bit and I did this to it. And now when we go out, it is so much fun because, we get to talk, I get to bond with my son, and we catch fish. Everything happens. It's what made the difference. So that would be in your ad copy. Right? You can tell that story. It's okay to say that much in a story. One of the worst things that you can do on your ads is just be real short on everything. Okay? You have to test long copy versus short copy, but for most things, not everything, for most things, long copy will outperform. It just does. You might think people won't read it, and they don't, but they do skim it. So that's why you have good points in there. And then you make the image, congruent with that. Maybe your image is a picture of you and your son, fishing. or whatever it is. I'm just throwing that out there as a possible option. So this is how you target the cold audiences. So I'm going to take those out. If you're going to target your own audiences, like say your email list, so this would assume that you've already created the audience to target in the audiences section of Facebook. If you haven't done that, you'll have to go do that. There's plenty of videos on how to create that. It's not a problem. But in here in the ad set, we click right here. And so let's just say I wanted to target a lookalike list that I've created, or my full email list, 20,000 whatever. So I've got the full email list there, right? And so what this is saying is in the U.S., ages 25 to 44, I'm only going to get to fewer than 1,000 people. Don't worry about that. That number is usually not right anyway, okay? Just go ahead and target it the way you normally would. And so now I'm able to target my full email list, and that's all there is to that. It's not any more complicated. So that's really about it. Now, one thing I'm going to send you that should be what you're looking at in your email that I sent out is a spreadsheet that I created on a sales funnel process. It's not going to work for everybody in every situation, but it'll give you an idea of, if you spend X amount on Facebook ads, and then you offer something on this page after somebody takes a specific action, you'll make this amount of money and so forth. And so there's a instructional video. I hope you like that. If you just get caught up in your ads and you just, it's confusing you, or you're just not sure if it's working right, it's okay to reach out to me. There'll be a scheduling link. You can talk to me. 20 minutes is a free chat. Well, I'll be glad to talk to you about it, look at it, give you some suggestions, whatever you need. I hope this stuff was helpful. If it was, please go and like my business page. I actually changed it over from One Focus Marketing, which is still available, but just to Ben Blackmon, and BLACKMON, as it were. And go there and like that, or just let me know, reply to me and just say, hey Ben, I really appreciate it. Whatever you want to say is fine, because I'd like to use that as testimonial type stuff. So if you need anything, just reach out, and I'll look forward to talking to you then. Thanks so much for sticking with me, and I'll talk to you soon.